Hey guys, welcome to SJU. I'm Joe. I got a Spencer with me. Hello, boys.
Morning.
Today we have some, well, depending on how you look at it or feel about it, some good or bad news about Mulan. The numbers initially reported about how the movie did on PVOD, much worse than initially reported. So we're going to get into what that means and sort of reframe that conversation around whether or not the PVOD experiment has been a success for Disney Plus with that movie, as well as it's Jim Henson's birthday. So Jim Henson's a very nice man who did some very nice things, and we're going to talk about him, and then stick around because we will be answering your questions in chat. That's going to be a good time. Next Fandom 5 trivia show is on The Simpsons. It's tomorrow. It is tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific time. That means 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's a little later than usual. So get home from class, get home from work, man. Pour yourself a drink, answer some questions about The Simpsons, and win yourself some money. Win some money.
Spencer, I think you should set up a pseudonym and go in.
Oh, I've already talked about how I'm going to put the mustache on and just say I'm Mr. Burns.
Spencer, we had Spencer answer 5 questions yesterday. He killed it.
They were solid. They were good. I think that was an appropriate difficulty level for an amateur Simpsons trivia contest. So I think you should be able to win some money on this.
Yeah, come join us. Come hang out. It's a super fun show. Come enjoy the movie trivia Down. I can't get that out of my head now. I'm so sorry. And then while I've got him on camera face to face, Billy works his butt off making this show, man. I show up for an hour and ramble and ask questions. Billy absolutely crushes it making this show.
Never underestimate showing up and rambling. It is a skill that is many work, very long, hard hours at UCB to master, and you've done it beautifully.
And to think my parents put me in therapy for it when I was a kid. Look at me now, losing Emmys to James Corden. Hey guys, Mulan did not do quite as well. According to Ryan, this segment is called "When You Wish Upon a Stat." Well done, Ryan. So this is via The Atlantic. So was it last week? Time has no meaning anymore. A report from Yahoo.
Last week.
It was literally 7 days ago, because the last time I was on this show, I talked about this exact topic from the opposite standpoint that I'll probably have to talk about it today.
Only Mulan when you're on. Mulan is your golden arm, buddy. A report that Yahoo suggested that a shocking 9 million Disney Plus users had streamed the studio's Mulan remake in its first 12 days of release, which translated a gross of 261 million, which was sort of a very low-tier success number for the movie, but a success number nonetheless. However, Yahoo had misinterpreted numbers from an analytics firm that estimated Mulan's viewership, and the firm's co-founder clarified that grosses were more likely 60 million to 90 million. And man, he did a lengthy tweet thread about it, you guys. So if you are into statistic firm tweet rants, go find it. It's worth it. So those very modest sums, along with a very poor performance at the box office worldwide, especially the very well-publicized bomb in China, indicate that Mulan really was a true loss on pretty much every front. So that brings us back to reframing this question. Is it more of a sort of a condemnation of this Mulan remake or of the PVOD experiment? Is it a cut and dry, well, Mulan sucked? Or is it a more like, movies are in trouble? Your thoughts?
Well, you can have more than one thing be true in this case.
Nope, one of the two.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. We'll go with option B. No, Mulan sucks, and the PVOD model is in trouble. But they're co-reinforcing each other, because maybe if Mulan didn't suck, there would have been more positive word of mouth. Maybe if they hadn't announced that it was coming for free in a couple months, then people would have been more willing to purchase it. Maybe if it was cheaper, people would have bought it more. Maybe if they had had some Chinese filmmakers' input, it wouldn't have just had such a dull reception in China and done better in theaters there. There's a million ways that it could have and did go wrong. But $60 million, if the lower number is to be believed, that is oh boy, that's like the catering budget on a movie like that.
Yes,
that's not good.
Not good. Billiam?
Yeah, I'm sure someone's going to split screen me being a hypocrite from last time because I can't remember what I said. But I don't think Mulan on its own is a big enough sample size to know if this experiment worked, especially because you just laid out there's like 5 other reasons why Mulan may not have hit, even if COVID wasn't even a thing. I'd be curious to know, even though the numbers obviously wouldn't be anywhere near the same, but I'd be curious to know how like other straight PVOD movies have done, whereas, you know, something like King of Staten Island, like I didn't even really hear anybody talk about that one. Whereas like I wonder Bill and Ted, at least socially, I feel like a lot of people check that out. It was also available to rent as opposed to buy. So I feel like Mulan itself maybe isn't enough to say if PVOD works. Maybe Disney is going to say PVOD doesn't work for us, but as a concept as a whole, the sample size just isn't large enough to really say. Yeah. So I wouldn't bet a huge blockbuster. I would not bet Wonder Woman 84. I would not bet a James Bond yet because there's no proven winner.
Mm-hmm. I hear you guys. I think it's a weird bind for Disney to be in when they have to maybe increase the sample size by including a film that wasn't panned before it even came out the gate for shooting near concentration camps, and you know, like that's a weird quandary for a company to be in. Well, I don't know, what kind of like lessons do you guys think Disney needs to take away from the whole Mulan experience? Whether it's PVOD, producing these remakes, what are some lessons they need to take away from this whole experience? Because it's been a rough lesson, it feels like.
Yeah, I think that it's really obviously that it's sensitive. Not that as putting the political stuff aside, where obviously we're anti-concentration camp and pro-democracy and stuff like that. But
that's like, almost as strong a statement as Disney's CFO, who acknowledged that the controversy, quote, generated a lot of issues for us.
A lot of issues, yeah. It's like you gotta. If you're making a movie for China, like, how do you not make a movie that it just seemed like a movie like this should have been for China first, and then if people overseas liked it, I guess, because the thing that people brought up that I was like, oh duh, is that China has a ton of medieval epic historical movies already. Like that's a genre there. It really reminds me of, remember the Russian Avengers movie with the trans?
Yeah. It was great. I watched it twice.
Okay, well, Billy aside. It's like we get it the other way.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll put it on the Screen Junkies draft.
Where we like laugh at like the off-brand toys that like are made in China and are just like a little bit tweaked on the things that we're like, that's not right. And Disney just pulled that in China. Like, how do you screw that up?
They were playing chess. They're like, see, how do you like it? Huh?
Yeah.
I think what's really interesting too is, you know, I watched that whole kind of like docu-series about the Imagineering story on Disney Plus, and it was all about kind of the creation of the parks. And one of the big like swings and misses they had was opening a park not in America, and they didn't really consult the local culture, and a lot of things just didn't translate, and they ended up kind of having to start over. And that's a big part now of when they open a new park internationally. It's like getting, you know, the culture and the local people involved in it so that it actually appeals to them. So the fact that the parks are doing it, and it seems like no one on the movie side kind of had the same thought process, it does just show a little bit that like Disney kind of, you know, the right arm's doing something and the left arm, you know, is unaware of it.
No, yeah, totally. Chat sort of agrees with you guys on a lot of the problems you're calling out. Panthror in chat echoes you, Spencer. I think that it's free in December is a major factor in Mulan's case. People have been waiting for new movies for 6 months. Another 3 months makes no difference. And you're effectively saving $10 a month. I like that. I like that breakdown. I like that logic. I think that was not of the list of sins for Mulan, that was a very easily preventable and silly one. Like, yeah, I have the patience to wait 3 months.
Can I hard disagree with you just on the fact that it's like, by that principle, then no one would go to the movie theaters. Because then it's like, well, I can just wait for this thing to be on HBO Max, or I can just wait for this thing to be on Netflix. So whenever someone uses that as like their only excuse, it just doesn't hold that much water for me, because it's like, if that's how you feel in general, then that's how you feel about all movies. You can.
In a lot of cases,
I disagree with you. Soft disagree. Is that you're right, except in the fact that it's something you're already paying for. So it'd be like if you were already putting down the money to rent a movie 3 months from now, because you're paying for Disney Plus. So it's not like you skip a movie in theaters, so you're going to pay for it later to rent it or watch it at home. This is something that like you already have in your house, and it's just a matter of time. It's no extra money off your back.
You're not wrong. And I don't have a good counter yet. But this is a 45-minute show, and it will come to me.
You will definitely figure it out. Obviously Mulan isn't alone right now in terms of box office woes. Tenet, which has been like our only other big blockbuster, performed much stronger overseas compared to Mulan, but in the U.S. Made even less money. In general, we've got kind of a lot of big problems with blockbusters right now. I don't want to hedge this into the usual sad conversation of COVID and the world is on fire. But I also don't know what the solutions are. Would it if Christopher Nolan had just swallowed his pride, or I don't know, wrapped an extra scarf around it, and allowed something like Tenet to be a lead in like a PVOD type experience?
No, come on.
Could it have made its money?
Well, the thing is Tenet's not as big a flop as Mulan. In fact, it's doing well in Europe and overseas in places that have theaters open. It's almost like a mirror image of Mulan, because Mulan.
Right.
It is flopping overseas, and it actually, that 90 million is like mostly Americans buying it. So Tenet, it could, in a non-traditional way, be a success. If it's certainly going to make its money back, if not do a little better than that, which in these circumstances is a huge success. I think you just have to treat right now, like, I don't have the latest stats in front of me, but is it like America and Brazil and a few other places as like their own, wasteland, and just have a different strategy for them that you do for the rest of the world, where places have opened back up and you can safely release stuff. Although even now Europe's heading back into the Thunderdome. So yeah, I don't know, Joe. I don't know when we'll ever be back in a theater.
Let me ask
next year.
Let me ask this room this: like, why hasn't this room why haven't we fixed COVID? The three of us. I don't.
I'm doing my part. I haven't left this room in months.
In ages.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with like a newborn, like I don't even go to the grocery store anymore. I Instacart. I don't even remember the last time that I breathed fresh air. So I'm doing my part.
Having little kids is like very little kids was perfect training. We were born in the quarantine, because you can't like
molded
go
by
outside.
it.
You're chasing a little kid around all day.
Yeah, what are you going to do? So I guess the final big question for this, which was asked by @Chid, which is still one of my favorite usernames in our chat. He asked, would Disney's Premier Access idea have worked if they had chosen a different movie? So we know Soul is still on the table, and apparently it's a very strong no for Black Widow being a possibility for being a PVOD release.
I don't think so. I think Mulan already was really, it seemed like people were really hyped for it. I do wonder, and this is something they would never ever say, but I do wonder how many users, how many people that they polled, like what's the maximum price you'd be willing to pay. For me, $30, when all is said and done, I realize I live in a metropolitan area and movie ticket prices are like a mortgage payment. But for me, $30 was like, all right, I spent $30 to go see it anyway and roll the dice on it, might as well. But I do wonder if it's so weird, like $29.99 versus $24.99 in some people's brains makes all the difference, or $19.99 versus $24.99. So I think it might just be finding the sweet spot of like, what is the ceiling on what people would pay? And I do wonder if like people like me are much more in the minority of like, fine, $30, whatever. And it's more just like, I will not hit that max rate.
Yeah, and I think it would do well with a little bit of a price haircut, but also I think there's no way knowing this ahead of time, but if it had better word of mouth, it would have done better. Like, I know it's kind of a duh statement, but if Soul comes out and people like, this is like the next Inside Out, like Pixar's done it again, it's original, it's going to make you cry, it's going to make you laugh, it's right up there with the best of Pixar, like, yeah, I think it'll do great. Whatever great means in this instance, if it's like we made $100 million instead of $60 million, like that's up to Disney whether that's worth it. But I think definitely releasing a good movie, more people will buy it.
Well, that's why I was saying Bill and Ted got so good word of mouth. In fact, like I was somewhat interested, not terribly interested, but everyone was like, this is like the 2 hours that made me so happy during the crappiest, 6 months ever. I was like, all right, fine, let's just rent it and watch it. So I would love to like somehow someone leaks any sort of information about how Bill and Ted did, because I think that's exactly what it would be.
I'd be really interested to see that too. I wanted to bring up Bill and Ted too, because in addition to the, release a good movie and shock people are going to pay for it. Is there something to fulfilling a need right now, too? Because a big part of the word of mouth around Bill and Ted was like, it was a nice balm for a real horseshit of a year. Whereas, war movie with no Mushu is maybe less that. So, maybe if Soul sort of fills that need as well, I don't know, that might have give it a nice little chance at success as well.
Yeah, and then, something like Bill and Ted, if Bill and Ted made $60 to $90 million, that's huge. I'm sure Keanu got paid, but that's not too expensive of a movie to make. So it's all relative. This is really affecting the global blockbuster market, those types of films. If you can cobble, like King of Staten Island, like if you probably do better on PVOD than you would in theaters for something like that. So it depends on the kind of movie.
Yeah, and I think as for Black Widow, with like the MCU portion of this question, like, what's PVOD look like for the MCU? I think the answer is these shows. The quicker they can figure out how to crank these shows out, I think a lot of their worries go away.
That's exactly what I said last week, and that's the one thing I will stay true to myself this week, is that if I'm Feige, my attention immediately shifts to how do we get WandaVision and Winter Soldier done, completed, finished, and out there. Not that I think people have forgotten about MCU, but it's certainly, after Endgame and, the epilogue of Far From Home, I kind of think it's like, maybe I think it's safe to say it's cooled off a little bit. And we're not talking about MCU, 23 out of 24 hours of the day anymore. So just to get it back and like, hey, remember you love this thing? Like, we've got more coming, so here's the appetizer. Just get the appetizers out.
Yeah, the WandaVision trailer was breaking viewing records, and I think that supports what you're saying, Billy, which is like as soon as we got a WandaVision trailer, it was like, boom, highest Disney Plus viewed trailer, within 24 hours or whatever.
Yeah, so I definitely think you're right, and the appetite is definitely there. Guys, know what else there's an appetite for? Answering questions about The Simpsons, Fandom 5. Make sure you guys come tomorrow. RSVP in the link below. It's going to be super fun. I really like doing this show. I really like it when you guys come and hang out at this show and win money.
I will say, looking at the questions and talking to other fans, because I'm not a big Simpsons guy, but you probably know more than you think you do. So definitely don't be like, I don't remember enough. You probably have retained more knowledge than you realize you do.
I think out of what we did yesterday, I think I had like 2 out of 5. But even that was more than I thought.
Even the Disney one, I was like, how do I remember this? That's so like how many golden monkeys Prince Ali has. I'm like, oh, because I sang the stupid song so many times when I was 7. It's obviously 75. Who doesn't know that?
Yeah, duh. Come on, guys. Hey, it's Jim Henson's birthday, you guys. Happy birthday to Jim Henson. And because he was just a very sweet, chill, creative human being, I thought we could just have a very sweet, chill conversation about some of the sweet, chill, creative things that he made and, parts of his career and his legacy that have been important to us and blah, 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 blah. I'll kick it off. I love Fraggle Rock, man. I really liked it when I was a kid and then kind of forgot about it, and you never truly forget. But when Tor and I started dating, she's a huge Fraggle Rock fan, and so like revisiting a lot of the old shows and stuff like that, and realizing like how intense that show was, and how heavy a lot of the lessons and themes were for kids, and how well it was packaged in sort of just this very like silly, colorful, like fun world was really awesome.
It's funny, Joe, because my Jim Henson memory, now that you say that, when I was a kid and we were really poor, the precursor to Disney Plus was having to pay for the Disney Channel. See, this shit's cyclical, kids. It's happened before, it'll happen again. But they would do the free preview week, and like I would have my mom buy like 6 blank VHS tapes so I could just tape it 24/7. And Fraggle Rock was the one that would come on at like 7 or 8, and I watched those 4 or 5 episodes over and over and over until Disney Channel became free. And I loved that show, and it was great. And someday I'll watch the other 50, 60 episodes that it probably exists.
It's worth it. There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, man, I love Jim Henson. I love the Muppets. I love the Muppet Show. I watch a lot of reruns of that. But what I love most of all is a question that was asked is, what if the Muppets were babies? And I'm speaking, of course, of Muppet Babies. I don't know how involved Jim Henson was in this, but clearly he created all of the characters. And man, that was like my jam. That was my morning cartoon show. They worked together, but they still had a good sense of humor. There was a Muppet Babies only Muppet that was one of my favorites was Skeeter. Not Doug Skeeter, but Muppet Baby Skeeter. Skeeter and Scooter, the twins. They were cool.
I had a McDonald's tie-in book that I loved. It was Muppet Babies at Gimme Gulch, and it was all about being polite and
there
not
you go.
stealing shit.
Great theme song,
Love
great
that
messages, and that man had a great beard headband combo. Iconic.
Oh,
iconic.
Untouchable.
Yeah,
Absolutely untouchable. We went to. Did you guys go to the Henson exhibit? What was it? 2 summers ago.
No.
I think it was at the Skirble. It was really cool, and something I didn't realize was, they originally started as just this weird production company that was like, do you want to buy us so that our puppets can sell your gasoline, and stuff like that. So they had all these cool, like, old Muppets that were literally just, like, gas pumps that they made for commercials and stuff like that. But then they also, even before that, had a bunch of just weird short films that the guy made that, completely Muppet-free, but just very, like, Terry Gilliam might have looked at a few of them and just been like, whoa, like, slow down, kid. So just some really, really cool stuff. Obviously
we have to mention Dark Crystal, or Roth's going to somehow burst into one of our homes and yell at us for not mentioning the Dark Crystal.
There's already someone here who in my home who will cut me in my sleep if I don't.
Pixies or whatever. I still haven't seen that.
It's
not the original, the new
the new one. It's really shit. I'm so sad that it got canceled, man. It's so good. Hello. Do you want to talk Dark Crystal?
SJU.
None of the women in this room want to talk about Dark Crystal. Neither of them. It's honestly just purely from a craftsmanship curiosity. It's worth watching.
All right, sweet. It's on the list.
Excellent. Well, if we've accomplished nothing else on Jim Henson's birthday, we've accomplished that. You guys want to answer some questions from chat?
What do they got?
Let's do this. Let's answer some questions from chat. What do you guys have? L2 Damon, the second level of Damon, asked, do you think if a franchise had a... I'm not sure. Ryan, can you ask L2 Damon for some clarification on this question? I'm not sure what he's asking, actually.
So I think what he's... I get what he's... they're asking that, like, so Tenet was the only movie that really tried to brave theaters and do that release. And what they're asking is if this was like a franchise movie that had that appeal of like, oh, the next Marvel movie or the next DC movie, would it have performed better? Like
if this was F9
or Mission Impossible 7.
Got it. No, I honestly don't think so. I think fear of global pandemic is the true Thanos snap. I think we're kind of just screwed at the box office either way until the stuff kind of gets straightened out.
I also think that Christopher Nolan has been. I was going to say Christopher Nolan is the franchise. Like he is. You have Marvel, you have Batman, Mission Impossible, Christopher Nolan. So I don't think so. I think it would have happened to anybody.
I soft disagree because I think that yes, Nolan is the franchise, and he has like he has a high floor of people who will go out and see whatever he makes, and his movies, aside from the Batman ones, though, I don't think have crossed $1 billion at all. Like Inception was huge, and I just looked up a second ago. It's like in the 800 millions. Fast 8, love it or hate it, 1.2 something billion at the box office. I know the numbers are that big. It's like, what's the difference? But like, I think if you put a Fast and Furious movie in theaters, people would have been doing burnouts in the parking lot and just like diving through. They would have like held up the projectionist and made them show it so that they could see. But
here's the thing. I think that it's the same reason why when you really think about it, there's no like feature-length Mickey animated movie. It's because the minute that you put that out, if it doesn't become the biggest thing ever, you've tainted the whole entire property.
Oh yeah, so, it's too risky to.
Yeah, so if Fast and Furious has any whiff of a failure at this point, I kind of think that it's just not worth it.
It's not worth it to Tyrese. We got to protect him at all costs.
Our national treasure.
Going through a lot, always.
His whole life has been 2020.
John Bainbridge asks, what is your favorite Weird Al song, and why is it Dare to Be Stupid?
Oh, wow. Great question.
I think like my first Weird Al song that I was like, this one's for me, was probably Amish Paradise.
I think I know the words to that one way more than I know the actual words to the song.
Mm-hmm. John is correct. He's not putting a song in my mouth. I think Dare to Be Stupid is probably my favorite Weird Al song, but my favorite song video combo is Headline News, the Crash Test Dummies parody video.
That's good.
It's great.
Yeah. God, like, I want to like say it's like, Harvey the Super Hamster, or like, I like the polkas. Obviously, I love the alternative.
Polkas are great.
Fantastic. I don't know. I feel like I have to choose one of his food ones because those are like, that's just his bread and butter. Forgive the pun. Like, I love Rocky Road, or I think the Rye or the Kaiser. It's the Rye or the Kaiser. It's probably the Eye of the Tiger parody. Like the man just he's a pun gun, and it's pointed at my face, and it's firing smiles.
It's firing smiles.
Weird Al Yankovic was my first ever concert that I went to.
Billy. Me too. Yes. First concert twins.
Yeah, and he I think he changed outfits a couple times.
Yes.
He got in the big fat suit. It was great.
Yeah, he did Like a Surgeon and sawed a lady in half, and I freaked out. My mom had to like take me aside to like calm me down. Like that wasn't real. He didn't actually cut him. Aw. Yeah, strobe light is very, very intense.
It's actually crazy. So this is a weird story, but back when Barnum and Bailey was a thing, we went to the Celland Arena in Fresno. It was so hot and the AC was broken that the Elephants wouldn't perform. So my mom complained, and they're like, you can come to any concert, any event that comes, And of all the things that were coming, like big headline of things, I insisted that we went to Weird Al.
True to yourself.
You made the right choice.
Yes.
Yeah, you absolutely made the right choice. Jarrett Johnson asks, it's fun to go out on food questions. Let's keep them coming. What has been your go-to meal during the pandemic?
Go-to meal. God.
We can expand that to a favorite meal during the pandemic.
We eat the same things for dinner. Like we have the same 5 things we make every night and just rotate through them. I'm so bored of it. Tell me, somebody give me a new thing to eat. It has to have like 3 ingredients and like be very easy.
There is I do have maybe an every 2 week, this is all becoming too much. Down the street, there's a hamburger stand with a pretty good breakfast burrito. And that's my, when I'm really feeling the weight of all of this, I break glass and go eat a breakfast burrito.
There you go. Respect that. Yeah, I mean, I've been grilling a lot. I've been finally getting my full dad pants on and just like, I think all summer I grilled like 100 different ears of corn. And I do like the Mexican corn with like the chili mayo on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Try to make that at home. That's probably the food of the summer. But as we shift into fall, it's stew season, baby. We'll be making some soup stews.
Oh yeah. No, autumn and winter, the season for a man with an instant pot to rise and truly reign supreme.
Yeah.
I'm like 4% useful when it comes to cooking, and when it gets hot, that drops to 0.
Way to pitch in, Joe.
I do my damnedest. Look, I will pitch in. It's just won't be good. Me in the kitchen is that I don't know if it actually happened or it was an urban legend, but someone had like the Roomba that ran over dog poop, and so there's like the meme of it like just smearing dog poop across the floor with the caption, "I'm helping." That's me. That's me when I cook. I gotta own it. I can't be good at everything, Spencer.
That's true.
Billy?
Most of this summer, this quarantine has been like with the baby, and so it's a lot of Postmates, or it's like we make something but we can't both eat at the same time. Like it's just not possible. So I like a lot of cereal. I've gone through a lot of phases. Like first it was all CT Crunch. That's all I wanted. Day and night CT Crunch.
That's good.
Then I went into a weird Raisin Bran phase.
Solid, keep you regular.
All I wanted, exactly. And then my wife and I, we battled because I wanted Cocoa Pebbles. She got Cocoa Krispies. Totally different.
Yeah, those
I was not happy. Team Pebbles all the way. Cocoa Krispies are no thanks. Pebbles has way more artificial flavoring that I need. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
You just dropped a memory into my head. Do you remember Berry Kicks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kicks with berries.
That's kind of fun.
My mom could never remember what they were called, and I will never remember the horror in 6th grade where a bunch of the cool kids were in my home for some reason, and I was like, this is my one shot, and my mom came downstairs and was like, I'm on my way to Kroger, do you want your boo-boo berries?
That was it.
And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, don't tell me you don't know what you're talking about. Boo-boo berries, you eat them every morning. I was like, Mom! What's a boo-boo berry? Well, we've learned about my childhood need for boo-boo berries, the disruptions in Billy's eating habits because of a new baby, and Spencer's summer of quarantine, baby.
Quarantine.
Let us know in the comments what you've been eating, because we want to hear about it. Hope you guys have a good day. Stay safe out there, and be nice to each other, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.